This conference has the task of providing the nation with a trustworthy account of what we set out to do when this pandemic hit us 6 months ago. What have we achieved so far, and what are the consequences of our work? This account is meant to give us a picture of what has worked and what has not, and the reasons why. The primary purpose here being to tease out lessons learned, as well as best practices, but fundamentally, we are meant to ask ourselves whether we organized our resources in the most optimal way, and whether we have mechanisms of plowing back lessons learned into future undertakings. Ladies and gentlemen, the new normal in Kenya and the world can only be defined as a known unknown. That is, we know the extent of COVID disruption and the kind of havoc it has wreaked and can wreak. But we don't know how the disease will morph in the future and how the new normal will unfold. This aspect remains unknown to all of us. And if the new normal then is known and unknown, then this must be a questioning conference. And the tone of this conference has therefore to be a questioning one. And I urge you to question everything that we have done in the last 6 months in order to tease out what we can plow back. If we make this a questioning conference, I want to propose a 5-point questioning framework to participants today. This framework should guide us in understanding our performance and indeed charting the way forward. 1, where were we efficient in our approaches to this pandemic? Can we say that our methods and our undertakings have delivered value for money? Are there lessons on how both human and financial resources could have been better applied? And how do we increase the value of our resources moving forward? 2, were we effective in what we set out to do? Can we ascertain the extent to which intended results were achieved in the last 6 months by the different agencies involved? And is there a cause-effect relationship between the results we achieved and the resources we put into containing this crisis? Thirdly, were we sufficiently responsive to the unknown twists of this pandemic? And by responsiveness, I mean the ability of our agents to participate, or our agencies to participate and respond to the peculiar challenges of this pandemic with timely and appropriate actions. Have we built this ability and speed in our systems as we de-escalate the COVID measures? And this is a question we must all ponder today. Ladies and gentlemen, the first 3 questions in my suggested framework are meant to assess the achievements of the last 6 months, but also allow me to table 2 further framework questions to guide our moving forward. As we plan to face the new normal, we must pose the question whether the methods and approaches we used in the last 6 months are still relevant today and in the future. And by relevance, I am inviting the conference to assess whether the mode of delivering our response to COVID-19 should continue? Should we replicate it for future planning? And what must we re-engineer after teasing out the lessons learned? My last framework question is about appropriateness of our COVID interventions. By appropriateness, I'm inviting the conference to reflect on whether our response to the pandemic was built on other existing platforms and whether there was resonance with what people wanted. If our response to COVID-19 resonated with the people, the interventions we built have a good chance of becoming sustainable. And by sustainability, I do not mean continuing the investments we made. I mean creating a cumulative chain of benefits arising from what we have done. If this conference, therefore, is guided by my suggested 5-point framework of questions, I am persuaded that we will deliver a trustworthy account of what we did for the last 6 months. But more importantly, the questions should also tease out lessons that will guide our future planning as well as our engagements. And I am confident that if we continue to work together in tandem and in the unity of purpose that has typified our joint efforts over the last 6 months, Kenya can and will emerge from this crisis better and will indeed bounce back stronger. And to co-create the new normal, the consciousness of the entire nation must be called to order. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my great pleasure to declare this conference officially open, and I look forward to fruitful deliberations that will guide us as a people and as a nation going forward. I thank you all for your attention. May God bless you, and may God bless this nation of Kenya.